are arrested and are detained in a place called Kasenyi. The other thing is Museveni wants to capture people like Lumbuye, Asima Wile Bible and Politics, because they leak a lot of information, because they're given a lot of information. Even those SFC people and the 15 soldiers who were killed Museveni did that intending to reduce or to find out who is surely leaking information. You know, all of their meetings, Museveni has no intelligence anymore, has no secrets anymore, because as much as, thank you, Isaac, as much as he puts out his plans, it's as fast as it gets out, and it's known to the whole country. People like, you know, I'm a small part of it, but other people are saying a lot more, sharing a lot more, and just bearing Museveni like never before. Those are one of the things that's causing his government to fail. Absolutely having no intelligence for himself, you know? There's no government that can operate that way. Therefore, the Western world or the rest of the world is knowing Museveni just like he is. No embellishments, no lies, no being fake, no doing things that, you know, people think, or maybe not, maybe. No, the facts are out, and he's doing exactly what is coming out. And even if he changes some, he's doing a lot of it. So people are catching on that this guy has not been good all along. You know, it makes sense now that the same killings that were happening during Idi Amin's time and Obote's time are the same types of killings that are happening now, which means since the 1960s or 50s and 70s, right after independence, Museveni already started committing these atrocities, and those atrocities were blamed on people like Idi Amin. You know, when we come out here and you say, I'm from Uganda, one thing that anybody will tell you is Idi Amin, especially older, you know, Americans or people of foreign nationalities who have a little bit of history about Uganda will remember Idi Amin because of the big things that Museveni told the world that Idi Amin committed. Most of them were Museveni coming to hit while these governments were still running and running back to Tanzania. There's a video where Museveni says when he was younger, he went away to Uganda from Tanzania. He came into Uganda and performed really bad acts and then ran back into Tanzania. This makes sense because because of what he's doing that stays the same even now, like it used to be when those people were still in government. So when we blame Obote, when we blame Idi Amin, just be mindful. Think back. Think about the things that happened. You know, the atrocities that used to happen, and look at the similarities with what's happening now. The other thing is that there is an end-of-year party that was supposed to happen last year at Parliament. You know, the members of Parliament usually have a party every year to close the year and whatever. This time, I think they were preparing for the election. They got busy, or maybe Museveni had a better allotted time for him to make his big hit. So anyways, all members of Parliament are supposed to be going to a party where they're all invited. There's a major caution to the opposition individuals. People like leader of opposition, Joel Senyoni, and other lead opposition, any member of opposition, you are supposed to be even more careful than possible. In fact, it's advisable that opposition people don't even show up to that party, because Museveni is no longer going to execute that other killing that he had talked about during a parliamentary session. He wants to do it this way. Let me tell you a story. Remember when they were supposed to have parliamentary seatings in different districts? I think they were supposed to have something in Gulu. I don't remember if it happened. It must have happened. But get this. One of the workers who was part of the team at one of the hotels, who was part of the planning, who was included in the planning for those parliamentary seatings in different districts, where Masaka was supposed to be one of them, and Mpuga was super excited because he knew what the plot was against his other opposition MPs. There was a lady and her husband who worked at a prominent hotel in Kampala, who were part of this planning meeting. And in this planning meeting, apparently the towels and linens that were supposed to be used by opposition people were supposed to be made special, prepared special, with certain powder or perfume that was supposed to be sprayed on those linen before these members of parliament were to get to those rooms, their rooms where they would sleep. Okay, so just like this party, you have chairs or seating arrangements that are allotted to each member of parliament. So they will identify whose chair, which one it is, or which room somebody goes to sleep. But anyway, back to that story about that lady and her husband. They heard the plans that were supposed to be. They heard there was supposed to be some kind of poison that that lady and her husband, who was part of the hotel team, should go and put on towels, like wash towels and other linens and pillows, put some powders or chemicals onto those things so that when these members of parliament went back to bed, they would inhale those chemicals, which would cause medical issues. Eventually, they'd end up, not dying right there and then, but probably go home with medical conditions that they would never recover from. So when that meeting ended, the lady, the wife of one of the two people part of the meeting, felt really bad. Okay, so she called her mother, who lives in Sweden, and said, "Mom, something has happened, and I feel really, really terrible. I'd like to tell you there's a plan by the government to get rid of or to have us poison leaders of the opposition." And so the mom, after hearing that, before the mom, these guys that were in the meeting, the SFCs, the soldiers, or the Museveni people, had left the premises. But then they thought for a second and came back. When they came back, they took everybody's telephone. They took all of them. And this girl had just recorded a message to her mother in Sweden and said, "Mommy, they've asked us to do something that's really, really bad, and I feel terrible." And she mentioned every detail like they told them to go and do with the sheets and linens of the opposition MPs. When they captured, she tried to erase that detail quickly, but she couldn't. And so that message went out, and these SFC guys came back and captured her phone and said, "Everybody bring your phone." So they took her phone and looked in it and listened to the message. Right there and then, her and her husband were captured, abducted from the hotel, taken away. She was taken somewhere else. There's a place in Katavi, in Entebbe, where there's a safe house. Apparently there's a bunch of snakes there. That's how they terrorize these people. Okay, all the NUP members who were abducted and taken to Katavi. There's all kinds of things which happens, but apparently they breed snakes there, large snakes. That's where they took the lady, and the husband was taken to another location. And these people were tortured for days, for weeks, for months. But the good thing was that her mother already had the information. Her mother shared the information with Lumbuye and other channels that could broadcast. Her mother started making arrangements with other people. She's from Kasese, Western Uganda somewhere. I'll tell you when I find where I wrote it down. But the mother started making arrangements to try to get to rescue those children, her son-in-law and her daughter. And she did, but eventually, this woman, where she was taken, she was raped daily by soldiers. Daily, hourly, whatever they wanted, they did to her. Eventually, the man was taken somewhere else. He had his own separate torturous activities going on. He did not, sometimes these people are unconscious when all these things are being done to them. So anyways, the woman, her mother starts to arrange to try to get her out and all of that. You all know that Katavi is very close to the airport. So when mom was able to get her daughter away by all means, talking to these people here and there, like, most of the military or some of the military that are Ugandan have the heart to care about Ugandans, but they're forced to do really dirty deeds. They're not all in for it, but some of them are just made to do these things. So the woman was tortured, raped. She contracted HIV. The mother was able to take her, figure out a way. When she escaped from the hands of those people in Katavi, she ran straight to the airport in Entebbe, was able to board the plane with a few good hearts, a few good people, got her on the plane, and she left and went to a place where she got treatment. Okay? She got treatment later, and there's no saying if people going through something like that can recover and get back to what they used to be. Okay? A lot of sacrifice has been done in Uganda by people just standing up for the truth and getting into the most treacherous, the most terrible experiences there can be. So she contracted HIV. Obviously, her family was broken. On the husband's side, he was found one day lying on the street half dead somewhere in Uganda. Let me see where it was. At Namavuba, someplace like there's a place like that. He was found half dead later. He was going to be taken to the mortuary, but they realized that his heart was still beating and that he was normal and he was okay. They took him to the hospital, had him recover somewhat, and the mother of the daughter helped also get her to another country. He did not take them to Sweden because Museveni has ties in Sweden. And they would find them, they'd follow them, they'd find them and do even worse to them. Some of you might remember the couple that came to Uganda that were retiring and going to Sweden. There are ties, the ones who were killed in their home. There are ties to them doing things for Museveni, managing their family assets. As you know, there's some Swiss accounts that are protected where most dictators or some presidents send their monies to those banks, the Swiss banks, where they're not tracked or they can freely store their monies there. And so it is said that that family of husband and wife were doing deeds for the Musevenis because they worked for the Swiss banks. They may have been involved in taking their funds there, and then it came a time when Museveni wanted them to do dubious things, but they couldn't because the law catches up with you eventually. And there are some things that they cannot do beyond what their powers that be ask them to do. So the Musevenis were trying to manipulate these people to do certain things, but they refused. And then there came time for them to retire and go back home. And when they went back home shortly after, they didn't live. There was, an incident where they said they were killed in their home by thugs and this, that, and the other. But there is a hand of Museveni in that family as well. Like I said, so much of stuff that happens in Uganda can be linked to the Museveni family because they're not Ugandan. They don't wish well for Uganda. In fact, they prefer that Ugandans do not exist so that they run and own that country. So that couple, husband and wife, obviously had a broken family because of this incident. They were the sacrifice that unfortunately happened while in effort to rescue the opposition leaders who were supposed to attend those parliamentary sittings in different areas of Uganda. Mpuga was very excited because obviously you all know that Mpuga was chased away from Nuuk for being a spy for the Museveni people and collecting the 500 million in bribe. Okay, so that is how that event ended, and that lady and her husband, God take care of them wherever they are. They're alive right now, but they suffered because of that event. Okay. So the wife was treated for HIV, but that cannot really, she can't fully recover from it, but she's away from Uganda now, and they survived that event. Okay. So many of you saw yesterday there was a general that passed. His name is Takirwa. He hasn't been buried yet, but obviously he has already been replaced by another gentleman. Mohozi appointed somebody else. That goes to show you who really wanted this man gone, okay? And this happens all the time. You realize the time that the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Olanya, was really sick, and when he had been transported to the United States, maybe even before that, there was already rumors about who's going to take over. Taiwo was talked about much, much earlier. I didn't even think that that was a possibility, but eventually Anita Among moved up and Taiwo was in the place of Anita Among just like that. So these guys always have a plan. They're a few miles ahead in terms of who replaces who because they know when to take out who. Okay? And so in efforts to try to get Ugandans away from the win or trying to get their win from Museveni, he's doing everything possible. But the biggest thing that he has tried to do and cover is his trip to Tanzania. There's so much that was involved. So much. Okay? Many of you will hear or remember that Museveni started yes, there were, Maureen, yes, there were 15 officers who were killed, including that general, yes. That general was part of that meeting. That's why he was taken out just like that. They suspect that these people are the ones who shared those secrets about killing those members of parliament in parliament with people like us who do the bloggers or the people who share information and things like that. Thank you for adding that, Maureen. So his trip to Tanzania, like I was saying, Museveni is believed to actually be a legitimate son of Julius Nyerere. It's not surprising because many of us, I've heard that Museveni he speaks about it very proudly. He started from Tanzania and he came into Uganda, hit and run. He came and did things and ran back, but you'll know that Nyerere was very keen to the success of Yoweri Museveni. In everything he did. In fact, he's the one that sent him to, I believe, one of the countries south of Tanzania to go and train militarily so that he can come back and attack like Idi Amin and attack Obote while they were still in government, and gave him strategies to come and destabilize these two governments so that he could come and, somehow sip into the government. It now makes total sense because there's a likelihood that he is the father of Museveni and not the gentleman who was killed and buried in Isinjiro. That was not his father. So, the big trip to Tanzania, what was that all about? Okay? Museveni went to Tanzania because he has been working with witch doctors. No kidding. This man and his family are all about witchcraft. The pretense of Natasha being, I don't know, the Christian head of religion or whatever, one of the daughters, it is not because they believe in God. No. These guys are way up in the behind of witchcraft. They believe in witchcraft. They live about witchcraft. Okay? You will not believe, but I'm just going to say these things because these are facts. Things that these people have done from their trip to Tanzania. So he went to Tanzania because he had some things to deliver in Tanzania. They've been telling him, all the witch doctors have been telling him that His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is blessed and appointed by God to become the legitimate president of Uganda. That in fact, Museveni and his son have no more powers to be or to stay president and so on to lead Uganda. So what they decide to do is keep on searching how they can take the powers or take the wisdom of Kyagulanyi Ssentamu from His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and give it to Muhoozi or draw the power back to their family using witchcraft. Okay? The witch doctors keep telling him that in Kyagulanyi's home in Magere, he doesn't even know how Kyagulanyi himself does not know how he got to be in that place. He just went about buying land, and it so happened that he bought this land with all these things going on that are blessings. In fact, that people believe that Kyagulanyi mentions that, something hit him and he became interested. And then he started doing what he does. There is not a thing of him being born a certain way, prepared to be president of Uganda. None of that. But as destiny would have it, he bought this land. And apparently on his land, Museveni and his people believe that there are special powers that make Kyagulanyi who he is. So, they have decided to go to Kyagulanyi's home. As you noticed with the military, staging of the military, seizing his home and attacking every family member and getting everybody important out of the home, the disguise has been for Museveni to go and perform witchcraft on that land. So, in the last few days, maybe yesterday, before he went to Tanzania, they've been doing things in the backyard, in the back of Kyagulanyi's house, inside Kyagulanyi's house. In fact, it's believed that they've taken Kyagulanyi's clothes. They have taken his personal items. They've taken clothes that are very close, undergarments, so that they can go and perform witchcraft on them. They have, Museveni and his son have gone into Kyagulanyi's home and taken a shower or a bath on the floor, mopped the floor, collected the water from the floor, put it in a container, and took it to Tanzania to the witch doctor so that they can perform whatever it is on that and spill the rest of it in the ocean. Apparently, that's how Museveni became what he was. He did that, it got powers from the ocean or whatever, and he wants to now go and reinstate those powers because he has been told time and again that those powers are gone. Yes, Isaac, they will not succeed. They're not. Museveni has lost everything, whatever it was that he had is all gone. It's not going to happen. It's time for them to exit, but they're trying everything possible to see if they can get back the powers that they used to have. All along, they had no means to get into the home. Every time they terrorize, there's always family at home. It's no wonder that when the election day started, even after Mrs. Barbara Kyagulanyi was advised to leave the home, she insisted on staying because she said, that is her home. As a woman, I understand. And so I understand that she stayed because it's her home. But the reason why they attacked her is to have her evacuated so that they can perform this witchcraft in that home. Okay? They've done several witch activities. They've taken his shoes, personal clothing, other items. They've performed activities in the spring water. Apparently he has a spring water in his backyard. I have never been to Magere. I don't know what happens there, but this is a security alert from people very close to the Museveni people. Okay, so there's trees in the backyard. There's a spring water where they've performed all of these activities. They have also butchered a cow, a white cow, in the back of the house or something like that. People who still stay there see these things, but most of this is got from the security alert from the people who work with them, but do not want to continue. Okay, Museveni took his clothes off, took the clothes of Bobby Wine to Tanzania. That's one of the things that took him to Tanzania for witchcraft. So they bathed and they took the clothes. They went to perform the witchcraft in the Indian Ocean where there is salt water. They will return to Magere in the next few days at His Excellency's home to finish up what they started. Okay, so they're not done. They went on the trip to Tanzania to deliver those items and perform on the Indian Ocean, but they will be back. Eventually, they will remove the military from his home. So when you see that the military have been taken away from the house, you then know that they feel like they have achieved or they have finished what they were sent to be doing there by the witches. Museveni wants legitimacy from other countries. He wants them to receive him as the president of Uganda, but no other country wants to be seen with Museveni. No president wants to be seen, obviously, except people like Suluhu and Salva Kiir from Sudan, Kagame, and the one from Kenya. But the rest of the world do not want to be seen from him, especially after all this exposure of the kind of person that he is. Nobody really wants to be associated with him. The other thing that Museveni is trying to get help with is when he was given the BRICS assignment. BRICS, that means that's a group that includes China and Russia. Museveni was given the assignment to recruit a lot of African countries to become under the BRICS. You know, there's this war that's going on about, you know, aligning with, making allies with Russia, China, or with the US and other allies and things like that. So in those efforts, for him to, obviously, you know, he allies with Russia. In efforts to stay legitimate or stay in ally with Russia and hopefully get some help when needed, he has failed because these presidents don't want to have anything to do with him. He has failed to, reading something here, Rookie. Yes, you're right, Rookie, which we are praying. You know, eventually his home is going to be cleansed and he'll be back without any of the evil practices. But remember this, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is a clean human being. His hands are clean. He has not hurt anyone. His intentions are good. I don't believe that anything wrong will happen to him. Whatever these Museveni people are doing will not hurt Kyagulanyi Ssentamu because he's a clean man. He has done nothing wrong to anyone. Okay? Thank you for adding that. So I said, so the BRICS contract that they gave him to fulfill of putting most African leaders together has failed. So because they don't recognize him as the president of Uganda and also don't recognize him because of the ugly name that he has all over the world now, he's trying to come out and look legitimate again. But it's not working. So that's the other reason he also went to Tanzania. He wants to twist Suluhu. As you know, Museveni had a hand in trying to get Suluhu into the presidency in Tanzania. It is no wonder Magufuli mysteriously was gone. Suluhu took over. And then Suluhu had an election where she claims to win by 98%. And several Tanzanians dead and slaughtered. In fact, I shared something on my page today where BBC is talking about Tanzanians, young people still speaking about being abducted and killed day and night. So you can tell that Suluhu looks in the mirror and sees Museveni. They do the same things. They're the same actors. And she gets a lot of advice from Museveni. So it is time. He wants Suluhu to return the favor by doing certain things for him. Okay? He wants Suluhu to support him and make him look legitimate. And every time he goes to Tanzania, he wants Suluhu to drum even louder to make him, to officiate him as the president of Uganda. And have other nations and call other nations and talk to other nations to also recognize Museveni as such. But time's up because Museveni knows his time is up, and any time from now, he will be yanked out of there from the presidency just about any time. And he knows this more than anyone, that it's going to happen. He's now trying to find ways to either escape or disappear or prepare friends where he can go if in case he survives an attack, which he knows very well something's coming to him. He says that he needs more allies to help him in case the West, which is more afraid of the U.S. Thank you so much, Senator Jim Risch of Idaho. You have been an amazing, amazing friend of Uganda and supporter of democracy in Uganda. Anybody that can find, a way to thank him, go online, send thank yous to the Foreign Secretary of State, the Secretary, I believe is the Secretary of a department, State Department. Please say thank you to him for what he's doing for Uganda, and that we're hoping for more to be done, sanctions plus other things, which I can't talk about because they're in the works, okay, which Museveni knows. So that's why he's trying to make more allies with African nations and presidents to try to stay safe or keep himself safe for as long as he can. Museveni is suspected to be the son of Julius Nyerere. It is the reason why he has a village or a city in Tanzania that is all his and his people only. Don't ask me where the people that were originally there are, because you know how his practices are. So it is said that his mother, Esteriko Okundeha, was raped by Julius Nyerere when she was living there. Okay? You will notice that Julius Nyerere, in fact, the mother of Museveni is from Rwanda. And she came to live with Julius Nyerere after she was excommunicated from Rwanda for being, for not being, or for not following the rules of where she was living. There was something that she did. I think she was part of a royal family, and she fell in love with an outsider, and so she was excommunicated from the community in Rwanda. So she was sent to Tanzania because Julius Nyerere's wife or family member is part of the family of Museveni. And while she was living in that home, she was raped by Julius Nyerere, and he fathered the child with her. Even if she went out to Uganda, they sent her to Uganda to go as a refugee, to go and find, you know, like most Rwandese were passed through Tanzania and then they went into Uganda and found refugee status and were given a place to live. And that's where her husband, the man she married, the Ankole man who she married in Ankole, was believed to be Museveni's father, but he actually isn't. It was Julius Nyerere who is the father, who is believed to be the father of Museveni. Therefore, it makes sense that Julius Nyerere has given Museveni a lot of support since the time he was a child. And it makes sense that when the father, who is the Ugandan man, came to seek help from Museveni, thank you, man, Musa, that's right. Anybody in the U.S. who needs to call the State Department, the number to call is 202-982-5252.